Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. Today we're unpacking a story that has literally inspired millions of people around the world. We're going to deconstruct the exact steps of how someone goes from absolute, literal rock bottom to achieving their wildest dreams. It's an incredible journey, so let's get right into it.
Okay, to really understand this, we need to put ourselves right in the shoes of a 12-year-old boy named Ryan. Picture this. He's staring up at a leaky ceiling on a freezing, rainy night, and he just can't sleep. The storm outside is loud, but honestly, it's matched by the sound of his own hunger. He's lying there, completely overwhelmed by his circumstances, and he asks himself this incredibly haunting question. Will I always be poor? Will life ever actually get better? It's this moment of raw vulnerability that completely sets the stage for everything that comes next.
Which brings us to part one, a cold, hungry night. Remember, we are talking about a kid who was just 12 years old. He was living in this tiny, rundown house in a small town. The roof leaked relentlessly every single time it rained, leaving the whole place damp and freezing. But, worse than the physical cold was the reality of their kitchen. It was empty, completely empty. At an age where most kids are stressing over, homework or video games, Ryan's everyday reality was the constant gnawing pain of an empty stomach.
Now here's where it gets truly heartbreaking. His mother walks over and places the very last sandwich they had in the house right on the table, offering it to him with a smile. She tells him, "Eat up, I already ate." But Ryan knew the truth. The agonizing reality was that she hadn't eaten a single thing all day long. It was a lie, sure, but it was a lie born out of pure love, and it really highlighted just how desperate their situation had become. Knowing the absolute truth of what his mother was sacrificing, Ryan just couldn't bear to take the whole thing for himself. With tears welling up, he split that final sandwich right down the middle to share with her. And giving part of that meager meal back to the person who literally gave up everything for him, that sparked a permanent internal shift. It was the exact moment his despair stopped being just sadness and started transforming into something else entirely.
And that leads us to part two, the promise to change.
So what does he do? He translates that desperate desire for change into an immediate, tangible execution plan. Before the school bell even rang in the morning, he was out delivering newspapers. After school, while all the other kids were hanging out and playing, he was out mowing lawns, washing cars, doing whatever odd jobs he could find. And every single dollar he managed to scrape together didn't go to candy. It went straight into an old glass jar. He was meticulously building his future, quite literally, $1 at a time.
But here's the thing about physical labor. Ryan intuitively knew it wasn't going to be enough on its own. One day, while he's cleaning out a neighbor's garage for some extra cash, he stumbles upon something most people would just toss in the garbage, a dusty, forgotten box filled with old books. Instead of hauling them to the trash, Ryan takes them home. And this discarded box of knowledge, it would become his ultimate weapon to fight his way out of poverty.
Moving right along to part three, learning in the dark.
Because his family couldn't afford to keep the lights on, his house was pitch black every night. So, to read those discarded books, he had to take them outside and read under the faint glow of a neighborhood streetlight. And how did society react to this? People actually walked by and laughed at him. They told him he was wasting his time, that he'd never be successful, and that books wouldn't change his life. They looked at a poor kid trying to educate himself in the street and chose to offer ridicule instead of a helping hand. But did he let that negativity break him? Absolutely not. Ryan completely tuned out the mockery. He didn't argue back. He just kept his head down and kept learning. He kept working his odd jobs. And above all else, he kept believing in the promise he made to himself on that rainy night. He became practically bulletproof to outside doubt.
Let's look at how this plays out in part four, failure before success. You might think that with all this grit, success was a straight line. Well, not quite. Despite his incredible academic success, graduating high school with excellent grades when you're studying under a streetlight is massive, his real-world business attempts initially ended up as crushing mistakes. By year 2 out of school, he takes the leap and starts a small online business right from his bedroom. But by year 3, he failed. He lost his hard-earned money, he made bad decisions, and literally nobody bought his products. 0 customers. This was basically his lowest point since he was 12. Think about it, sitting in your bedroom staring at a failing business and wanting nothing more than to just throw in the towel and accept a mediocre life. He needed an anchor, and that anchor was the vivid, visceral memory of those hungry nights and his mother handing over her very last sandwich. Anchoring himself to her sacrifices is exactly what kept him pushing forward when all the data and logic told him to stop.
All right, let's jump ahead to part 5, the ultimate secret.
10 grueling years pass, a full decade of refining his business, learning from embarrassing failures, and just refusing to give up. After 10 years of unseen, unglamorous grind, Ryan finally stood on a massive stage in front of thousands of people. He wasn't that hungry kid in the leaky house anymore. He had become a highly successful entrepreneur and a self-made millionaire.
During this event, a reporter asks him the golden question everyone always wants the answer to, right? What is the secret to your success? And Ryan just drops this incredibly powerful truth bomb on the erupting crowd. He says, the secret isn't luck. It isn't talent. It's refusing to quit when life gets hard. He completely strips away all the myths about innate genius or being in the right place at the right time. He attributed everything to sheer, stubborn endurance, because he knew that simply refusing to quit was his only real superpower.
So what's the actual blueprint for us here? It really boils down to these core, actionable principles. Your circumstances right now, whether it's a leaky roof or an empty bank account, do not define your future. You have to stubbornly believe in yourself, especially when no one else does. You have to put in the actual hard work, stay incredibly patient through the years of failure, and never, ever stop learning. These aren't just fluffy motivational quotes. These are the exact tested steps Ryan took to rewrite his reality.
So as we wrap up, I want you to reflect on that hungry little boy who changed his entire life by just refusing to throw in the towel. Take a second to look at your own journey. What are you refusing to quit on today? What does your leaky roof look like right now? And more importantly, how can you apply Ryan's exact resilience to the struggles you're facing today? The secret really isn't a mystery anymore. It is right there in your hands. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I challenge you to take these lessons and apply them to whatever you're building today. Catch you next time.